What if I told you that with just a few simple things, you can turn your counters into really beautiful beverage stations, all with their own separate vibe and totally doable on a budget? Today, I'm showing you how to create a coffee bar like your favorite coffee place, a mulled wine station that is Scandi inspired, a rustic apple cider station, and then last but not least, we're gonna do a whimsical hot cocoa station. So grab something warm and cozy and let me show you how. We're gonna start first with a mulled wine station. Now, if you haven't had mulled wine, oh boy, get ready. It is delicious. It's basically like Christmas in a glass. My husband and I traveled to Germany last year, and that was the first time we ever tried it. It was so delicious that I definitely am gonna recreate it this season. So mulled wine is basically wine, apple cider. It's got fruits in it. It's got those warm, cozy spices like cinnamon and cardamom, star anise. And every recipe is different depending on the region where you're having mulled wine. So that's why if you're gonna look for it online, there are so many recipes to choose from. So I feel like you can't go wrong with Ina Garten in my eyes. She always has the right recipe. And we're gonna make her mulled wine right now. So to start making this recipe, I mean, it is mulled wine. You're gonna wanna start with some good Cabernet Sauvignon or a Merlot wine. Now listen, here, this is not the place to be cheap, friends, okay? Don't be cheap on the wine because no amount of fruit juice and spices is gonna save it. The wine really takes like center stage. So make sure you're using a wine that you would actually drink on its own. So we're gonna start with this. This is a Cab Merlot from one of the local wineries around here. And we're gonna put that into the Dutch oven here. So next up we have some apple cider. You're gonna add 4 cups of apple cider to this wine. Then we've got a 1/4 cup of honey. Now, the nice thing about this recipe is that you can play around with it. If you want it to be a little bit sweeter, then definitely go for it, add more honey. If you want to omit the honey, then you can do that too. For the spices, this is how I remember it. 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're gonna take 4 whole cloves. We're gonna put those in. You're gonna do 3 star anise. God, this smells so good. It smells like licorice. And then 2 cinnamon sticks. Last but not least comes that little bit of orange. We're gonna add the zest of 1 orange and the juice from that orange. We're gonna give that a stir, and then we're gonna let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Now that that is simmering, we're gonna set up our hot beverage station. And because the vibe, I wanted it to be Scandi inspired, that meant that the decorations, I was going with more grays and reds and whites. Think snowy, think wooden silhouettes, think gnomes. First things first, we're gonna start with our gnome. Isn't he cute? I got him at the dollar store. I think he's perfect. Next, we're gonna add a little bit of white and red color, some Scandi candles. And then here, I've got a silver tray that I also picked up at the Dollar Tree. And we've got some additional spices, some cinnamon, some star anise, and then some dried oranges. Want to see how to make dried oranges? I did show in a previous video how to do that. I will link that for you in the description below. Next up, I've got these beautiful mugs that I picked up also at the Dollar Tree. They are going to be perfect for our mulled wine. Some fresh sliced oranges. And then you really can't have Scandi without some snowflakes. So these, again, I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I painted some of them white, and they just add a really nice touch to our beverage station. Can't forget a little bit of greenery, a pop of red with the candles, and then for an extra cozy touch, I'm gonna use these little fairy lights. Okay, so our 15 minutes is up. Oh my gosh, you guys, I wish you could smell this. It smells incredible. It's gonna taste amazing. Ooh. Imagine you've just come in from the cold and you sidle up to a beautiful station that has hot apple cider for you to warm up. Is there anything better? I don't think so. I don't think so. So for this station, I wanted it to really be rustic and warm and inviting. And the way I did that was to incorporate some wood into it. So all I did was use a charcuterie board, and I used that instead as a tray. I've got the same mugs that I used for the mulled wine. and we're going to use them now for the apple cider. And then to decorate, all I did was use some pine cones, some little picks with nuts in them. We've got some dried oranges, some cinnamon sticks, and a bowl full of apples. And then I've got these rustic candle holders. And I don't think you can really have a rustic ski chalet sort of vibe without plaid. I actually picked up these plaid napkins at a secondhand store, and they've really come in handy. So next up, I'm going to show you how to make the apple cider. Like I said, I've made this recipe so many times, and I know how expensive apple cider can be. At least where I am, apple cider is really expensive. So we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use actually apple juice. It's way less expensive, and especially when you've got a crowd, buying a whole bunch of jugs of apple cider sometimes can be expensive. So we're going to add apple juice, and then we're going to add a little bit of cranberry juice because that cuts down a little bit on the sweetness of the apple juice. So we're going to add that in here. And then for our spice, all it takes is 2 cinnamon sticks and 3 cloves. These are whole cloves. And then 3 of these little cuties, these little clementines go in here. You turn that on, put it on low, and that can actually simmer all day. So this is, if I'm hosting, I will put it on probably in the morning, like around 10, and then by the time guests get here, it's good and hot and ready to serve. Plus, did I mention it also is going to make your house smell good? I don't know if I mentioned that, but it really will. For this next beverage station, I decided to go all nostalgia on a hot chocolate station. Who doesn't want to be a kid again? So I'm doing a gingerbread theme for our hot cocoa station. So for this, when I was at the dollar store, you guys, they had the cutest little jars. These are perfect for setting up the station. Setting up the hot cocoa station is really going to be all about abundance. I want to have a number of different toppings and different flavorings for people to really customize and have some fun, basically be a kid again when they're making their hot chocolate. So I wanted to add a bunch of really fun sprinkles for people to add to their hot cocoa. So I've got some chocolate sprinkles, some coconut, some really colorful sprinkles there. And then who doesn't love a little bit of crushed up Oreo cookie and the classic marshmallow. One way to level up your basic hot cocoa mix is to put it inside a really pretty jar. So take it out of the container that you get at the store and put it into something pretty. And then I've got these candy cane stir sticks. Of course, the classic whipped cream. Can you really have hot cocoa without whipped cream? I don't think so. And then we've got caramel sauce and of course chocolate sauce. Okay, I've got a little hostess hack for you here. This isn't actually a 2-tier stand. Oh no, my friends. Let me show you what it is. I actually bought these chargers from Dollar Tree, the wood chargers, and then all I did was really take this vase, and you want something a little bit more substantial because you don't want it to be tipped, and set your other plate on top, and voila, you have yourself a 2-tier stand. Here's another beverage station, and this one is near and dear to my heart. You guys, this is setting up a hipster coffee bar right here at home. So in order to do that, you just need a few things to really make it special. I feel like when you go to your favorite hipster coffee house, they've always got a couple different kinds of sugar. So here we've got brown sugar and regular sugar, and they've always got some kind of cinnamon or something you can sprinkle on top of your coffee if you want. The syrups so that you can make the everyday coffee a little bit extra special. And then different kinds of cream and milk. So whether guests want to go dairy-free, then you've got the option there for them too, because, right, your favorite coffee house has lots of things to choose from. So here's one of my hosting tips when I'm making coffee at home. If you've got one of these kinds of coffee makers and it's got a timer on it, invest the time to actually learn how to use the timer on your coffee pot. It makes all the difference, I'm telling you. When you can get the coffee ready and know that it's gonna just start making coffee for you magically at 7 o'clock, it's one less thing you have to think about when you're hosting, and guests will appreciate that you thought about it ahead. To finish decorating our hipster coffee bar, I picked up this little espresso cup. Isn't he cute? I picked it up at a secondhand store. It's adorable. And then we've got some signs. The signage and all the tags you can find in my Etsy store. I will put the link for that in the description for you if you want to just jazz up your coffee bar a little bit. And then we've got mugs, and I feel like you can't really have a hipster coffee bar without some succulents. So I've made sure to add these to our design. Now, one other thing, if you don't have a timer for your coffee, I've also in the past made coffee ahead of time, and I've got, let me show you. And I've got one of these thermos and carafes. So you can make it ahead of time. It keeps the coffee really hot, especially if I'm having a big crowd and I know that one pot of coffee isn't going to be enough. These are definitely worth the investment. You can put hot water in it so then you can have tea, or you can keep your coffee hot, or maybe you can make different kinds of coffee. The possibilities are endless. But this is one of the hosting things that I really feel is a must-have for hot beverages. Now, I know I've given you the idea of this hipster coffee bar for something for your guests, but there's no reason why you couldn't do this at home and make your everyday coffee feel special. So those of you who are coffee drinkers, I am curious, let me know in the comments below, what's your go-to coffee order? I'm always looking for a good coffee to try, so let me know. There you have it, 4 different setups for your hot beverage station. Now what I love about these is it really makes hosting easy. It's one less thing you have to worry about as the host, and guests really like that they can help themselves. If you like what you saw here, please hit like and subscribe. That means the world to me, and until next time, happy hosting. You've got a crowd. That's a lot of gurgling. Is it a really nice tartness? It sounds like somebody's peeing.